Ruth chapter 2. We are at Ruth chapter 2. It begins by talking about a relative of Naomi's husband. So you could actually remember all these words. Husband is man. Wife would be woman. And now we learn another word called relative. Relative, in the sense of the Hebrew concept, is very similar to the Chinese, where we're talking about somebody who is very close, and you have very intimate knowledge. Right? Knowledge. And this was a person who, or a person or persons who be close in terms of relationship from a patriarchal side. So in this case, it would be always patriarchal. What it means is from the father side. So the father side, not the mother side. Mother is called matriarchal. So this is from a patriarchal side where they have intimate knowledge, very close relationship. So we call him a relative. And this is from Naomi's husband. The description of this man is that he has, how would you say? He has wealth, he has power, right? He has power, he has ability. So this is a man who is very well renowned, I would say. I think when you talk about him, he will be very well renowned, very mighty man, brave man, a champion, a chief. So this is what great actually mean, right? So in terms of wealth, in terms of power, in terms of ability, so we've said that this relative of Naomi's husband is exemplary. He is outstanding. And then it discusses this, that he was from the family of Elimelech. Remember in chapter 1, Elimelech is the husband of Naomi. And so this is the husband's side of the family. Now his name is Boaz. And so Ruth the Moabitess. So you notice here, last week, yesterday we said that that Ruth accepted or sort of converted into the Israelites' way of life, culture, and belief. She told Naomi, your God will be my God. Your people shall be my people. And in your land, I shall be buried. And so this is very much like converting into an Israelite, both from the standpoint of a culture, practice, life, and faith. But she is always known as Ruth the Moabitess, because that would be a reference to her past. Her origins is still a Moabite. And so it's all these tribal issues that will never leave you. You will be a Moabite and you can be an Israelite. You join the Israelites' way of life. You no longer live as a Moabite, although the point of origin where you were born was a Moabite, because you come from Moabite parents. Now Ruth the Moabitess, said to Naomi, let me go to the field. Now understand this. This is a field where they have planted barley. Okay? This one you need to be very clear, because at the end of chapter 1, it was the barley harvest. So this would be an open field where they planted barley. And so they said, let me glean heads of grain after him whose sight I may find favor. And this is important because it gives us another glimpse of what favor or grace is all about. And so you find grace in the eyes, right? In the eyes of the person who owns the field. And so you just can't go in and say, oh, I want to pick. But she does that because she hopes to find favor in the eyes of the owner. All right? And so Naomi said, okay, go, my daughter. Now, this is important as a statement because Ruth, for all intents and purposes, is no longer a daughter-in-law, but literally a daughter. Which means that Naomi is treating Ruth, for all intents and purposes, as one of her own. Because Ruth has said that your people shall be my people and your God shall be my God. So in verse 3, she goes out and went to glean in the field after the reapers. Now, what does this mean? The first round will be by the reapers, the people who harvest. So they will come and harvest the barley. And of course, the barley would not be cleanly done. It will fall on the ground and things like that. And so when you talk about gleaning, this is literally gathering. Gathering what was dropped on the floor. But it is still about the harvest, so that there is something to eat. Okay? And so when she happened to come to the part of the field that belongs to Boaz, and who was a family of Elimelech, she went in, and suddenly Boaz came from Bethlehem and said to the reapers, "The Lord be with you." And they answered, "The Lord bless you." Now, I want to spend a little time here. You notice this is the wish number 1, as you wish. And this is the reply, right? And let's take a look at this. And it says, Yehovah imakem, right? This is Yehovah imakem. And then the reply would be Lo Yekareka Yehovah. Now, I'm not going to write all this down, but basically it means this. It's very similar to the Arabic greeting, Assalamu alaikum, and then it will come back and say, as a reply, Malaikum wassalam. And that is a greeting of peace, right? Because it talks about salam. Salam is an Arabic word equivalent to the Hebrew shalom. But in this case, it's not talking about peace. It's talking about blessing, about barakah, how God will pronounce good things upon you. And so this would be a very Israelite, a very Hebrew way of saying, the Lord be with you. And the reply would be, the Lord bless you. This would be how the people of the day would talk. And this is very early. This is before the time of the kings, right? They are in the land, and this shows us a little bit of their culture. Now from verse 5, you would see that Boaz looked and saw the young woman. This was important. So Boaz spoke to his servant, who was in charge of the reapers. So you notice there would be one who is the head, and then he is in charge of all these other people whose job is to harvest. So he is the head of the harvesters, who is the servant of Boaz. And so Boaz asks, who is that young woman who's out there? Now, I would think that Boaz has never saw her before and was curious. But perhaps at the same time, you need to remember that Ruth is probably in her late 20s, at most 30, which means that she is still in the prime of her life to be a widow. And she must be good looking. So you find that the Bibles have some very good looking women, right? So first you find it was Sarai, then you find Rebecca, then you find Leah, as well as Rachel. And all these were beautiful women, and Ruth is one of them. So in verse 6, the servant says, oh, this must be the young Moabite woman who came back with Naomi from the country of Moab. Moab is Moab, right? And she said, please let me glean and gather after the reapers among the sheaves. Now, this is important for us to see what that means. Let me find you a verse. Hold on. Just let me find a verse. Hold on. Where is it? Okay, let me bring you back to Leviticus 19. Verse 9 and 10. When you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not wholly reap the corners of your field, nor shall you gather the gleanings of your harvest. Gleanings means whatever you harvested, it dropped onto the ground. Don't pick it up. And you shall not glean your vineyard, and nor shall you gather every grape in your vineyard. You shall leave them, and this is what you need to look at. Leave them for the poor and the stranger. I am the Lord your God. And so these are for the Israelites and the tribes. And these are for the Israelites who are non-tribal. This law was given that those people who had fields that they gather and they harvest, don't clean it all up so that the poor will have a chance to eat, as well as the stranger in the land. And by stranger, we mean these people who are not part of the tribes, who are always with the Israelites and who follow. And who would this stranger be in our story in Ruth? Well, that would be Ruth herself. So we continue to verse 6, as we were just saying just now. The glean and gather is part of the law. And that is in Leviticus 19, 9 to 10. And this is what they are practicing at this point in time in the fields of Boaz. And so she went to gather after the reapers among the sheaves. So she came and has continued from morning until now, though she rested a little in the house. What does this mean? It means that she has been very hard working, picking things, right? Now, verse 8 tells us this. Boaz then said to Ruth, "You will listen, my daughter." Now, obviously, we now know that Boaz is not a young man. Boaz would have been an elderly man, a bit older, right? Not in his 20s, but likely to be in his, 40s maybe. He says, "You will listen, my daughter, will you not? Do not go glean in another field," meaning don't go to other people's field, nor go from here. Just stay here in my field, but stay close by my young women. What is happening? The young women are also there to glean. So let your eyes be on the field which they reap. Where they go, you go, because they will know better where to go. And go after them. So Boaz is telling Ruth, there is a better way of doing it. You stay here, you follow the young servants, women servants. They know where to go, and when they go, you go. Have I not commanded the young men not to touch you? This means that Boaz is also defending Ruth, because Ruth is pretty, and he would not allow anyone to disturb Ruth. When you are thirsty, go to the vessels and drink from what the young men have drawn. You are like one of the family now. This is important, okay? Why did Ruth say this in the next few verses? She would be very surprised. And I think when we read this, we too would be surprised. Why would Boaz, out of the blue, treat Ruth so special? Now, I think, this is my speculation, that Boaz first saw Ruth and must have fallen in love with her, right? From a modern day would be love at first sight. But whatever may be, Boaz is treating Ruth very, very well and very specially. So she fell on her face. Now, you know when you fall on your face, it always reminds us of when the brothers of Joseph fell on their face when they met Joseph, but didn't know who he was, right? Because he was the number one man in Egypt. When you meet someone who is very much in power, who is a lord, your master, you fall down to the face, and that's common culture and practice. So she felt that she was nobody. Boaz is everybody. And yes, he owns the land and is very rich and very powerful. And so she fell on her face, bowed down to the ground. Now, this whole description is how we would translate the word as worship. But as I mentioned to you all many times, there is no such word called worship. It is an action of bowing to the ground, and the face will touch the ground. And you said to him, and this is where we can see the grace again. Why have I found favor in your eyes, that you should take notice, since I'm a foreigner? What is a foreigner? A foreigner is somebody who is different. Somebody strange. Well, somebody different would be somebody strange. So not a traditional Israelite. And so maybe you can tell a difference with Ruth, but yet she is very pretty, but different and outstanding from the rest of the people. And again, I want to point your attention to this idea of favor, grace in your eyes. You will always see this because grace is always in the eyes who is looking. And so Ruth says, why have I found grace in your eyes? You have seen me and you have given me kindness. You have given me favor. You have given me grace. Why? Why should you take notice of me? That's what she's saying. Okay? And Boaz replied, he says, it has been fully reported to me that all that you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband. So he now knows, oh, he's not just pretty and beautiful, he can see her from afar. He knows her background, that you have left your father and your mother and the land of your birth and have come to a people whom you did not know before, the Israelites. And then I'm sure Boaz have heard that Ruth would have told Naomi, your God shall be my God, your people shall be my people, and all that we read in chapter 1. And so Boaz is very, very amazed with Ruth and says, the Lord will reward. This is reward, recompense. The concept of a reward, what you do, you are paid for. Okay? And a reward, a full reward. What is a full reward? That would be something that is complete. All right? So now let me show you a word that we seldom pay attention to. That would be the word full. Right? The word full. The word full is the word shalem. Shalem. Complete. Right? The word shalem. That gives us the word shalom. And so what we can see is this. When you pay in full, it is a shalem. When you have received in full, then it's a shalom. Why? Because things are complete now. There's no more debt. Okay? And you are now at peace. So even when we always use the word shalom does mean peace, but it's derived from a concept that you have paid all your debts or you have received everything in full, and it's a shalem, in full, in completeness, and the shalem is now spoken of as a shalom. And so this is important for us to pay attention to. So Boaz is saying, well, may God bless you and reward you with everything. The God of Israel, whose wings you have come for refuge. You have left Moab and you have come to Israel, and so may God bless you. So that's basically what he says. Then she said, let me find favor in your sight. Again, right? Grace. In your sight, eyes. And grace is always seen from the eyes of the one who's looking. And this would be Boaz. For you have comforted me, and you have spoken kindly to your maidservant, though I am not like one of your maidservants. So you have treated me like your own staff, your own employee, or your own servants. And she is very happy and very thankful for the grace that Boaz had extended to her. Now Boaz said to her at mealtime. Okay? When he says now means sometime after the previous verse. When it was time to eat, he said to her, come here and eat of the bread and dip your piece of bread in the vinegar. And this would be a very intimate meal. Now Boaz probably was eating alone since he was the lord of the place, and he invited Ruth to come and join. And so she sat beside the reapers, that she is now part of the household. He seems to be treating his staff, his servants very well. Parched grew full, and then kept some back. Means she took some extra, and I guess in our terms, about a little bit. Verse 15, when she rose up to glean, Boaz commanded his young man, he says, don't touch her, let her glean even among the sheaves. Even if she goes to the places where you cut down the barley, it's okay. Do not scold her. Let grain from the bundles fall purposely for her. Shake it a little bit that there will be more on the ground. Leave it that she may glean, and do not rebuke her. You notice Boaz is now giving her special attention. Remember, she is a stranger, and she is one who has publicly confessed that Jehovah God will be her God. And in this case, Boaz treats her very well. Continuing on in verse 17, so she gleaned until evening, beat out what she had gleaned, and there was about an ephah of barley. Now, not sure whether we know how big an ephah is. It's about 10 omers, let's say, well, in modern day, it would be about 40 liters. So if we go to 7-Eleven and buy a bottle of the big water, 1.5, that would be easily maybe 13 bottles of barley. And that would be quite a lot of barley. And then she took it up and went into the city, and her mother-in-law saw what she had gleaned. She brought out and gave her what she had kept back. You remember what she kept back? She kept back this. The bread, parched grain, right? And this was food that she ate, and she kept some back for her mother-in-law. And so you notice that the whole relationship between Naomi and Ruth is no longer just daughter-in-law, mother-in-law. It is really a mother-daughter. And her mother-in-law said to her, so this is what Naomi said, where have you gleaned today? Where did you work? You notice gleaning is a type of work, but it's not paid. You are paid in kind for what you pick up. So blessed be the one who took notice of you. So you notice it's about blessing. And this is not happy blessing. This is really good things that God will do to this person. Verse 19, right? And so who is this person? Well, the man's name is Boaz. The name is Boaz. Then Naomi said to her daughter-in-law, blessed be he of the Lord. Let God bless this man, for he has not forsaken his kindness to the living and the dead. And Naomi said to her, this man is a relation of ours, somebody who is close, right? One of our close relatives. And that's from the father's side. Ruth the Moabitess said, he also said to me, you shall stay close to my young men until they have finished all of my harvest. That these are the young men who is having all the sheaves, and they will be dropping all over the place, and Ruth can actually pick more up. And now Naomi begin to smell something different. Okay? What did Naomi say? It is good, my daughter, that you go out with these young women and that people do not meet you in any other field. This is a good thing. So she stayed close by the young women of Boaz to glean until the end of the barley harvest and wheat harvest. What would that be? So we're talking about March, April, all the way through June, July. Okay? And so this was a long period of time that she managed to do both barley and wheat. So whatever the people had, Naomi and Ruth also get to eat. And so this is very interesting in chapter 2, that this was a chance meeting and Boaz took care of Ruth for whatever the reason. Although I said that it might have been love at first sight, it would have been something that Boaz was really exceptionally thrilled of Ruth. And they continued this gleaning in the field of Boaz until everything was completed. This is chapter 2.
Oh.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you, Pastor.